What would you do if a king ordered you to bow or die? Everyone obeyed, everyone feared him. But one boy stood still. And what happened next changed the entire kingdom forever. In a land where the sun burned gold across the earth and the winds carried whispers of fear, there lived a king so powerful that even the strongest warriors trembled at the mention of his name. Every morning, as the great drums echoed through the kingdom, the people would gather in the palace courtyard. Old men with bent backs, mothers clutching their children, warriors with lowered eyes. And one by one, they would bow. Not out of respect, but out of fear. For this king demanded it. No one dared to stand tall before him. No one dared to meet his eyes. For it was said that any man who refused to bow would never see the sunrise again. And for many years, no one ever dared. Until a boy came. He was no prince, no warrior, no chief's son. Just a boy. Barefoot, with dust on his feet and fire in his eyes. He arrived on the day of the great gathering, when the king himself sat upon his golden throne, towering above the people like a god. The drums sounded. Bow, the royal guards shouted. And like waves in the ocean, the people fell to their knees. But not the boy. He stood still. Silent. Unmoving. At first, no one noticed. But then, a murmur spread through the crowd. Look! That boy. He's not bowing. The guards froze. The air grew heavy. Even the wind seemed to stop breathing. The king leaned forward, his eyes narrowing like a predator spotting its prey. You there, he said, his voice cold as iron. Why do you stand, when others kneel? The boy did not tremble. He did not look away. Instead, he took a step forward. My knees bend only to truth, he said calmly. Not to fear. A gasp rippled through the crowd. No one had ever spoken to the king that way. The king's face darkened. Do you know who I am? He thundered. I am the ruler of this land. The voice of law. The shadow of death. The boy nodded slowly. I know who you are, he said. But I also know what you are not. Silence. Deep, dangerous silence. The king rose from his throne. And what am I not? He asked. The boy's voice did not shake. You are not a god. The courtyard erupted in whispers. Some covered their mouths. Others shut their eyes, waiting for the boy's end. The king descended the steps, slowly, each footstep echoing like thunder. Every man here bows to me, the king said, circling the boy. They bow because I command it. No, the boy replied softly. They bow because they are afraid. The king stopped. For the first time, something flickered in his eyes. Not anger. Not pride. But something deeper. Something unfamiliar. The boy continued. A true king does not need fear to stand tall. A true king is lifted by the people. Not by their trembling. The guards raised their spears. Shall we strike him down, my king? They asked. The crowd held its breath. The king stared at the boy for a long moment. A boy who did not bow. A boy who did not fear him. A boy who stood, as if he were equal. And then, something unexpected happened. The king laughed. At first, it was low, almost dangerous. But then it grew louder, fuller, echoing across the courtyard. Leave him, the king said, raising his hand. The guards lowered their weapons. The people looked up, confused. The king returned to his throne, but he did not sit. Instead, he looked at the crowd. For years, he said slowly, I believed power was taken, demanded, forced. He paused. But today, a boy has shown me something I have never seen before. He turned to the boy. Courage. The courtyard fell silent once more. From this day forward, the king declared, his voice ringing across the land. No man shall bow out of fear. The people looked at each other, unsure. Slowly, one by one, they began to stand. Not trembling. Not forced. But free. And the boy who refused to bow. He did not smile. He did not boast. He simply turned and walked away. Barefoot, just as he came. But behind him, a kingdom had changed. Because sometimes, it is not the strongest warrior, nor the richest king, nor the loudest voice, that changes the world. Sometimes, it is just one boy, who refuses to bow. Thank you for watching, lovelies. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. To all my returning subscribers, thank you for always supporting this channel, and to my new viewers, I appreciate every one of you. See you in the next story. Stay blessed.